So that's good. Yeah, yeah.
See
It's
when.
just preparing, you know, it's taking its time a little bit, but here we go. Here we go. We're live, Beena. We're live. Well,
Hello
almost.
and welcome to Moreness Culture. Good morning, Syl, after very long, and good morning, everyone. We were missing you guys. We don't need to, but okay, yes, we don't seem to
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yes, but we
yeah,
were
yeah,
missing. Yes, we were missing our lives. We were missing our lives. So welcome
yeah.
everyone to the Moreness Culture, and welcome all those who are going to join us live and will watch us record later. Please, if you find this video by chance or deliberately, please do make an effort to click like, subscribe, and make a comment. Leave a comment. Even if you don't like it, just say
Yeah.
something, because by doing so, you're going to train your online algorithm to bring more value into your life. And it is not going to take you for granted, that it is going to make it show that you are a thorough person and you know what you want to see and perceive and have in your life. So please be very, very mindful about that. This is the first very simple step towards mindful living, to not allow anything else other than what you really want to see in your newsfeed, in your online activities. So
And in
please pay
life.
attention to, yes, because ultimately your online algorithm is exactly, and of course will affect your offline algorithm, your life algorithm,
Yeah.
because you're going to train your mind and your subconscious mind also to make deliberate choices, to be mindful, to be thorough. This is the
Yeah.
first step towards that. Anyway, let's come back to what we are doing. Okay, we have been busy doing a lot of stuff, and I was having a bit of issues, and I might have that because I don't know, but so far it is going very wonderful. But just saying that before. But what we were busy in, and what we did during this time when we were not here live, we were doing, at least we did once, our own TV show. And
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
the thing. That was the first experience for, okay, at least for me, this was the first experience. And I was hoping that I will have, like, okay, something different, something very um, new, and I might feel a bit overwhelmed. I was feeling a bit of overwhelm of newness there, just because that I was trying to pay attention to the camera and also to the queuing from our team, and that was something like, okay, yes, I need to continuously pay attention to the chat and also to the camera, and I'm not very used to and not very comfortable with the camera, being on camera all the time, but that was fun. And Syl was as usual as he is, no problem, nothing, very comfortable. Yes, and he was
Oh, come
reminding
on
me
now.
also to be on time, like, okay,
Ah,
Beena, this is the time and all that. Why I'm sharing all these
ah,
things?
we lost you
Because
now.
in life, many things happen. And you see things when they are new, when they are completely out of your regular mundane life. And we get overwhelmed by just the newness. But we assume that those things, those situations, or those people or perspectives, they are overwhelming us. No, we need to separate. We need to be able to differentiate between the overwhelm of the newness and overwhelm of that thing particularly. And that is something I was now I was aware that, because, oh, it's just an excitement of the newness of this thing. The thing itself is nothing. It is as simple and as exactly like right now I'm doing my life. So it was all very smooth and comfortable for me. But the newness was giving me a bit of excitement, like, oh yes, okay, yes. But that was fun. Also, what at least I'm learning, that okay, to be mindful about the timings. Okay, how much time I'm going to. Of course, we need to have this ability to be appropriate, capital A, appropriate, so we can stretch our conversation and we can condense it as we need to. Like right now, I'm just stretching my conversation because we do have something to take care of. And this ability, I must say thank you so much, Syl, and also thank you so much, Way-Of-Impeccability and Moreness program. These are just byproducts of it. I'm the one who never been into these type of things, but when it comes and it was like that, and I was like, okay, yes, the newness was just like okay for the queuing and the time, but not the thing itself. And that is something I must say thanks to Way-Of-Impeccability and Moreness project, because I feel that sometimes Syl is not very precisely sharing about the byproducts of the uh, beneficial byproducts of Way-Of-Impeccability and Moreness program, like public speaking, like having innate self-trust instead of fake confidence, and having calmness, and having an ability to differentiate between the newness overwhelm, the overwhelm of the newness, and the overwhelm of the situation itself. So
Right.
these are just simple things, but it can transform your life, personal life, professional life, and also that okay in life in general. That because if you understand that how things are coming, what other person is trying to do right now in this situation, you understand that, because sometimes people who scream and yell on top of their like really thought, they are the most scared one. And if we can understand that why they are doing this, and say we can flip the situation. But if we don't have this ability to see, capital SC, and perceive, and capital H hearing, then you can get scared of it. Oh my God, like, okay, as this person is scary. No, they are not. They are themselves are scared. So a lot of things to share, and Sil is back, so we can start sharing our regular thing.
Oh,
And
in a
we are
moment,
going
in a moment. It's just
no
slow.
problem.
I'm
Okay,
still
just for
sharing
all the
stuff.
newcomers, no problem. When for
Yeah.
all the newcomers who are going to join us, that was my thought of the day, and I was too excited to share our adventure of our own TV show. And thank you so much,
Yeah.
Syl,
Yeah.
for
I love
sharing
it.
this
I
opportunity
love
with
it.
me. Yes, it's a
But
Beena and Syl for Syl and Beena show, the Moreness show. Yes.
yes, yes. But I have to amend something. You
Oh
know,
yes,
Bina,
please.
you were if somebody didn't see the show, they might have thought you're a bit uncomfortable, you're a bit awkward. Huh. You watch that show. Bina's a pro on there, boy. You can't see that Bina's adjusting and getting used to it. And no, you don't see it. She was smooth and fluid. And right off the bat, Bina did the introduction. And even though, some of it may not have been fluid, but that was some of it was the producer didn't give us the exact cueing, like
Yes.
when exactly the introduction ended. It wasn't clear the overlap, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
there were things like that, which and still it was smooth. You did a great job, Bina. I mean,
Thank you so
it
much,
was
Syl. Thank you
fantastic.
so much. This is what I was trying to share.
Very
That these are
professional.
just the beneficial byproducts of Way-Of-Impeccability and Moreness program, because you
Exactly.
learn these things innately without deliberately doing practice of these things.
Yes,
These
yes.
things
Now,
come
why?
from self-trust
Well,
and self-honesty
exactly,
and
exactly. But
getting rid of
not
ego
only
nonsense.
that, Bina, there's something
Yes.
else. The
Yes.
self trust comes from being able to process appropriately. And what do I mean by that? I mean that you are processing in a way which you are doing things conceptually, right? Remember, the other name for way of impeccability is the language of conceptionality.
Conceptuality.
And when we are processing our situation conceptually, it's very different. In other words, conceptually, we are looking to do what is appropriate. We are looking to pay attention to timing. Yes, not to say, well, when the thing adds, I've got 1 second to. That's remembering a specific. If I go on another show, it might not be 1 second; it may be three. Yeah. See, so when
Hmm.
you remember the specifics, you can't adapt in a new situation. But when you understand conceptually, it's very easy. Yeah, you're just figuring out what is appropriate. And because we've made this effort to apply and enhance and develop our skills of ADU. awareness,
Yes.
discernment, and understanding. And then, of course, we apply that, right? So now
Yes.
you're aware of what's needed. You have the discernment to see the specific layeredness, the depth, the nuance, the fine tuning. And then you understand what you're doing. And when you understand, it's very easy to apply. And this way of processing the world, in other words, it makes all the difference in the world, right? And that is where your self-trust and your self-confidence comes from.
Yes.
Make sense, Beena?
Yes.
Yeah. So, it's not a simple thing. It's practice. And, when we did Way-Of-Impeccability, we practice this over and over and over again, right?
Yes. Yes. On regular
Every
basis.
takeaway, every repeat back, all the tasks and exercises, and then obviously when we're doing this in a day to day, our entire language revolves around conceptuality, right? We're never remembering the exact precise thing, that's bureaucratic thinking, and that gets you into trouble. I knew a bureaucrat. Uh, well, I had lots of conversations with him. I was just talking about it earlier. I'll be publishing those under the Tools of Change. And you can see they always wanted the exact, precise thing to do. Could not think conceptually. Yeah. And it really caused them a lot of trouble, that inability to think conceptually. But it's fear. You see, they don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to get into trouble. So that's why, and of course, when you are prepared with the exact things, yes, it works, but it only works in that particular situation. And boy, they just could not get this, could not understand this, could not see that you need to think overallly conceptually, so that you can transfer between one situation and another, right, Beena? Which is
Yes.
exactly what you did. We didn't do that specific live, but we've done plenty other lives, and you just adapted as appropriate. I mean,
Exactly.
what was difficult really about it?
The only not difficult, but then the only new things, two things. First is that okay, time precision. Like okay, yes, you have to be precise about time. And the
Right,
second thing
right,
was the queuing. So I was continuously watching, trying to watch that okay, the chat, that okay, it will come up, the prompt will come
right,
up
right,
for
right. Oh,
me.
we have to explain this a little bit, okay? So,
Yes.
well, in the future, we might have the producer in our ear, and he'll say, 1 minute to add, right? But I liked it in the chat better, I think, than my ear. So in this case, Zoom has its own chat, right? That you can
Hmm.
have a little, and you can do it as a pop-up box, right? And you can move it on your screen to
Yes.
wherever you want it. Because at the same time, we had on our screen, we had the Zoom screen set smaller into the top corner, or in my case, the top corner, in Venus' case, top middle, because it's underneath the camera. So that, like right now, I'm looking at myself talking, but I'm also looking at the camera, right? And that's
Yes.
very very helpful and very important. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the positioning. Just a little fine-tuned skill thing. But then we also had our talking points, which is important, right? We don't rehearse things, but we had a theme, and we wanted to make sure that you thought of it. I forgot to say this. So it's just a reminder there as a helpful thing. Yes. And when we covered all of
Yes.
our talking points that we wanted to cover, it was very helpful that. But we had an overall theme. But then also I took that chat box and I popped it out so I can move it, and so I can position it, and I had my screen. I got everything there, and in that the producer would say 1 minute, and then he'd say 20 seconds, 10, 5, and even had a countdown, 3, 2, 1. Well, actually, he did that when we went live. But, it's still the intro. All right, we still have to work with him a bit more, because a new producer we hadn't worked with before. But still, in that, I would send messages to Beena, and Beena didn't send to me that I remember. Did you, Beena? Did you send any messages
No.
to?
No.
Oh.
No.
But just in terms of like, uh okay, switch to this, or wrap up to this, or connect to this, or whatever. And for me, it's important because at least the one thing that I like a lot, in that format, there needs to be more back and forth. Whereas in this format, because it's very casual, it's very informal, sometimes we can go on for a long time on our own. But in the TV format, there's an expectation that's already through, decades and decades of people's expectations. You have to have that switching back and forth a bit more, especially when you got two co-hosts. If one person's talking all the time, people tune out, right? Why? I don't know. I mean, you would think, hey, if he's got something interesting to say, but it is what it is. So you have to adapt to that. So this is something we have to practice a little bit. So like Beena right now, she would send me a message, say, okay, switch, so wrap it up, right? Because I've been talking a long time. Yeah, right, Beena?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. You see, there's a for me, I
But
have
not in
that.
extra.
Maybe
Yes.
Beena hasn't watched as much TV as I have, but I and particularly that kind of show. But I have it built into me. I can feel it when the time is there. I knew right there, and that's why I said it. I had deliberately gone a little bit over that time, right? And so I knew that it was a little over. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. So this is an important stuff. Anyway, just a little bit behind the scenes of making the show. Now that was our first show, and we said beforehand, we're going to treat it not as the very first one, but as like a practice, which turned out to be very good. Why? Because the next, on this Thursday, there is no show because it's Thanksgiving. So we'll carry over. So our first official show, and I'll be making an announcement and an event, will be next Thursday, right? Very exciting. Very exciting. Very exciting indeed. And then we're going to be talking about, just might as well say it now, right, Beena? Our first show is going to be obviously about Moreness. What is Moreness?
Yes.
What is Moreness culture? How does it all work? And this just you say, what is Moreness? Well, you're going to be surprised. You're going to be surprised at all of what comes when I start to talk about what exactly is just the word Moreness. Never mind Moreness culture. That's another whole big, massive, great big deal, right? But just Moreness itself, there's a ton in there. There's a ton in there. It's very exciting. Very, very exciting. Anyway, let's continue with what we're doing. What are we doing, Beena? And where are we? What are we doing?
Okay,
By the
we
way,
are doing. Okay,
when I say,
yes.
sorry, what am I doing? This is part of that confidence, that self-trust. That
Yes.
simple phrase, what am I doing? It is built into Way-Of-Impeccability to get into the habit of asking this question. Now, when we ask the question, I'm not just always asking it, what am I doing with a little d, which was in this case, it's a little d question. But when you ask that question where it's also capital D, what am I doing right now? What am I doing we do in our life, and we're about to continue with the reading, right? With Carlos's reading. That's where the question was directed. But it's also always implied that what you are doing, little d, must match what you are doing, capital D, which means, what am I doing in my life, with my life? What am I doing in connection with my soul, my spirit, etc.? Yeah? What we are doing, little d, serves our greater purpose, our greater intent of the capital D. Yes. So even though we're doing the show, it still is helping us in our greater task, which is learning more, growing, thriving, enhancing our awareness, developing ourselves, etc. Right? All fits together. But that question, though, if we ask that on a regular basis, and if you have children, or even if you are a child, and even if you're not a child, I absolutely highly, highly recommend cultivating this habit. You'll be astounded at when you ask it, oh, yeah, really? I thought I was doing this, but I got caught up in something else, and my mind in a bubble, whatever, and I'm not doing what I want to be doing, what I think I need to be doing, what I hope to be doing. I'm distracted. I'm on a sidetrack. I got diverted, whatever. You'll be astounded. Or sometimes you have no clear idea of what you're doing. So, I don't really know what I'm doing. And you just realize that you sort of like in a nowhere space. You're a bit lost. Very powerful. Very powerful. And of course, when you now take it even further, with that capital D doing, now you're on a whole different track. How many people really are sorted when it comes to answering the question, what are you doing in your life context? Yeah, very few people. And then when they do realize that they never really paid attention to that, well, then they have midlife crisis. Yeah. So yeah, it's important stuff to pay attention to. Very, very important stuff. Very, very, very important stuff.
Yes, it is
Right.
important. And what we are doing right now, we are busy with a very long, profound project of reading Carlos Castaneda's books about Don Juan, and with a very specific intent to connect with Don Juan, to meet Don Juan, to understand the intent
Yeah.
behind that, and also with a very, very specific intent, which is always there for us. The foremost one is capital S sharing. We are not here to just to start reading and okay try to teach something about it. No, we are here to share our perspective, and we are here to
Yeah.
receive your
Yeah.
perspective also. We would love to receive different perspectives from you also. That capital S sharing is not just only about sharing your perspective and receiving other people's perspective. Sharing is something without expectations, without having any prior ideas, because it is based on receptivity. Our sharing is based on receptivity, capital R receptivity. So we are going to be in that sharing mode now. We will switch to that. And then we will start reading about Don Juan and Carlos,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'll be there in a second. Just had to
No
find the
problem.
place.
No problem.
It saves my place if unless I refresh or reboot my computer, and then it loses the spot. Yeah. I'll be there in a second. Wow, very good, very good. Here we go. Here we go. Everything sorted. Very good. All right, we were on this book 2 of the series. It's called A Separate Reality, right? We're on book 2 now, which I'm very happy about because this is where the real stuff starts. Yeah, and this book
Yes.
is all about capital P perceiving. Yes, which with Don Juan uses the older term seeing, but he says no. Makes it you think it's something with the eyes. It's not. Right? He says this later on, but he sort of got stuck with the term. But since we pay attention to terminology, we pay attention to conceptuality. Seeing is a term, perceiving is a conception. Very different, right? And that's why it's a whole different way your brain processes the information. And when we become aware of the importance of association and how critical language, vocabulary, terminology is, particularly when you have conceptuality, because terminology is very limited and words specific and very limited, but conceptions are open-ended. They grow, they evolve, they connect to other things. So perceiving is an ongoing point, which the further we go, we learn more what exactly this capital P perceiving means rather than just regular perceiving, right? Which is perceiving energy directly, or as Don Juan also says, to perceive the essence of things. To perceive the essence of things. You take away all the BS, all the color, the shape, the style, the packaging, all of that. You get into the essence of things, right? And now Carlos has been grabbed by this idea because Don Gennaro gave him a fantastic example of how to use energy and will and all that, but he didn't perceive it and he missed the whole lesson and he feels bad about that. So he's a bit but stuck on this now, right? And he really wants to know more about this and how to do this. So now, in order to do this, Don Juan says to him, well, you're going to have to just smoke again. That's it. Yeah, and this is a bit stressing for Carlos because he's afraid of losing his clarity. It's not so much that he's necessarily afraid of losing his clarity. Yes, that's what it's called. He's afraid of going crazy. And the bottom, the root of that is he's afraid of looking stupid. Yeah. If you're doing this kind of weird stuff, you're afraid, well, what the hell's up with you? You know, you're all weird and like, how stupid are you? That's really what it is, bottom line, right? And we're getting to the part where he's smoked on one smoke mixture called Umito, which allows him, and he had this experience with seeing the guardian of the other world, right? Which is, there's some capital P perception involved. And And now he's explaining what it is. And that's where we got, right? That's where we were last time. So let me do screen share and then we'll continue reading. Right? You remember, Beena?
No, I don't remember exactly where we were.
Oh, all right. Well, you'll catch up in a moment. Yeah, now. You know, he said suddenly, looking at the roof of the Ramada, every man can perceive the guardian. And the guardian is sometimes, for some of us, an awesome beast as high as the sky. You're lucky. For you, it was only 100 feet tall. And yet its secret is so simple. Remember, this is when we was about to explain more, right? And
Yes.
we paused there. All right. So you can you read, Beena? Can you see it? Is it in focus for you?
Okay, yes.
All right, you continue, and then I'll read on one, and you do the rest.
Okay. He paused for a moment and hummed a Mexican song.
The guardian of the other world is a gnat.
He said slowly, as if he were measuring the effect of his words. I beg your pardon?
The guardian of the other world is a gnat. What you encountered yesterday was a gnat, and that little gnat will keep you away until you overcome it.
For a moment, I did not want to believe what Don Juan was saying, but upon recollecting the sequence of my vision, I had to admit at a certain moment I was looking at a net, and an instant later, a sort of mirage had taken place, and I was looking at the beast. Oh, I was looking. I just want to read it. Okay, I had to admit that at a certain moment I was looking at a net, and an instant later, a sort of mirage had taken place, and I was looking at the beast.
Yeah, that's a very good point that you repeated on, Beena, because this is the transition from ordinary looking, right, ordinary perceiving to capital P perceiving, right? So he was looking, perceiving the net. We want to get away from the looking thing. He was perceiving the net because there was sound also and movement and feel, and also the spatial perception, right? All of that is, greater part of perceiving. And then it shifted, and suddenly he's looking at this great beast here. Now he's in capital P perceiving mode. Yeah, he's perceiving the same thing, but in a completely different way. He's in an alternate reality, hence the name, right? He shifted into that.
But right. How could a net hurt me, Don Juan? I asked, truly bewildered.
It was not a net when it hurt you. It was the guardian of the other world. Perhaps someday you will have the courage to overcome it. Not now, though. Now it is 100-foot tall, drooling beast. But there's no point in talking about it. It's no feat to stand in front of it. So if you want to know more about it, find the guardian again.
2 days later, on November 11th, I smoked Don Juan's mixture again. I had asked Don Juan to let me smoke once more to find the guardian.
We pause here. As much as we give Carlos a hard time for being a knucklehead, he does have some courage because, he's afraid of a lot of things. But you see what Don Juan said to him? You're not really afraid. You just don't want to lose your clarity, which is a different thing, right? And he said clarity is coming up, but it's that the bubble clarity. It's not actual clarity. So we have to understand that it's clarity as the enemy. The second enemy is a little c clarity, not capital C clarity. Well, because then you'll be able to see that when you truly see, you understand that the limitation is a bubble, right? But Carlos isn't actually a fearful guy. He's quite adventurous. He's quite brave and he takes a risk, but not when it comes to his ego and looking bad.
Yes.
That's a different matter. See, like in this case, I mean, this is a 100-foot drooling boost and you want to go and see it again. It's like, hello, I mean, come on,
Okay. So, the very famous, not very famous, but a famous meme about what is more fragile than a woman's heart? Men's ego.
Yes.
And how can anyone be adventurous about the most fragile thing they have?
Exactly. Exactly. But like I said, Carlos is adventurous. I mean, he's out
Yes,
there in the middle of a foreign country, in the desert with Don Juan, and he's doing this, smoking the mixture. All right, it was the 60s, and people did smoke and partake. It was part of the culture at that time to experiment. You have to keep in mind, at that time, the fear of serious drugs was not there yet. It was
mm,
cool. It was exciting. It was the thing to do. Yeah.
yes,
Later, when the mainstream got involved and the health risks, then there was a big public campaign to educate people as to the horrors and dangers. And, hard drugs became the worst thing ever. They over exaggerated this, right? And created
yes,
this absolute fear of this that was
yes,
not there at the time, right?
yes,
Even
yes.
though for Carlos he's a bit trepidatious, but again, his trepidation is he doesn't want to lose his mind, he lose his marbles, he doesn't want to go crazy and become stupid in front of his friends. That's really his worry. Anyway, let's continue.
Yes. But just to give a bit more clarification that that meme exactly actually like that okay, woman's heart and men ego ego in for anyone, it is fragile because it is fake.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It
Well, it
doesn't
can
have
be. It
any
doesn't
any
have to
any
be, but it can be.
yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it is
Oh,
something that has to be. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Let me just say hello to Breezy going crazy, and Shakal and Krishna Kumari.
Kumar,
Krishna Kumari.
I
Krishna
think it's
Kumar. There's no I.
yes,
That's just the way they're
yes.
typing. Krishna Kumar. Hello, hello, all of you. Very nice to have you here too. Yeah, always love it when you're here. I started up the TikTok, but it was being very difficult, and I don't know if it started. So, hang on. Before we continue here, Beena, let's get TikTok going as well.
Yes.
Sometimes I have to reinstall TikTok, and it's like, come on, seriously, you make it so difficult, TikTok. uh,
Yes.
no, it hasn't loaded, so I don't know. All right, we'll continue. It says TikTok on Zoom. It says it on Restream. Oh, here we go. It's like, wow, it takes 5 minutes to get TikTok going. Uh, all right, well, we'll continue reading, and well, now I see TikTok's now wanting to take over the screen. Yeah. Ay, 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 ay. TikTok, troublesome. Oh, all right,
Okay.
all right. Well, now
Very
my,
well.
well, I was hoping it would be there, but you see, preparing your studio. Usually I have the setup way ahead of time, but because the computer rebooted, it didn't reboot. So then I had to go through all the rigmarole again. All right. Well, too bad for TikTok today. We'll just skip it. All right. Here we go. Here we go.
Okay. I had asked Don Juan to let me smoke once more to find a guardian. I had not asked him on the spur of the moment, but after long deliberation. My curiosity about the guardian was disproportionately greater than my fear, or the discomfort of losing my clarity. The procedure was the same. Don Juan filled the Bible uh, once, and when I had finished the entire contents, he cleaned it up and put it away. The effect was markedly slower. When I began to feel a bit dizzy, Don Juan came to me and, holding my head in his hands, helped me to lie down on my left side. He told me to stretch my legs and relax, and then helped me put my right arm in front of my body, at the level of my chest. He turned my hand so the palm was pressing against the mat, and let my weight rest on it. I did not do anything to help or hinder him, for I did not know what he was doing. He said in he sat in front of me and told me not to be concerned with anything. He said that the guardian was going to come and that I had a ringside seat to perceive it. He also told me in a casual way then that the guardian would cause greater pain, but that there was one way to avert it. He said that 2 days before he had made me sit up when he judged I had had enough. He pointed out to my right arm and said that he had deliberately put it in that position. So I could use it as a lever to push myself up whenever I wanted to. By the time he had finished telling me all that, my body was quite numb. I wanted to call to his attention the fact that it would be impossible for me to push myself up because I had lost control of my muscles. I tried to vocalize words, but I could not. He seemed to have anticipated me, however, and explained that the trick was in the will.
Very
Yes,
important. The trick
yes,
was in the will. Yeah. This is like in
yes.
dreaming. I don't know if anybody's had any flying dreams well, I assume some have, right? At least in my flying dreams, I learned to fly as an act of will. You will yourself up and you zoom around, and it's quite wonderful, right? I haven't had one of those for quite a while because other flying dreams are like floating dreams, and I've had flying dreams where I like hover over the ground for a little bit. I come walking and then I raise up, and then hey, look, I'm flying. And I use my will to move about. So, but still, will is how you move in dreams, really. Yeah. Same thing. Yeah. Same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
He seemed to have anticipated me, however, and explained that the trick was in the will. He urged me to remember the time, years before, when I had first smoked the mushrooms. On that occasion, I had fallen to the ground and sprung up to my feet again by an act of what he called, at that time, my will. I had thought myself up. He said that was in fact the only possible way to get up.
Yeah.
What he was
You
saying
remember
was
in
useless.
that instance, he still said to himself, up, and he went up.
Yes,
And he was
yes,
playing around with it a little bit. He was experimenting with it. He thought it was very
yes,
cool. Yeah.
yes. What he was saying was useless to me because I did not remember what I had really done years before. I had an overwhelming sense of despair and closed my eyes. Don Juan grabbed me by the hair, shook my head vigorously, and ordered me imperatively not to close my eyes. I not only opened my eyes, but I did something I thought was astonishing. I actually said, I don't know how I got up at the time.
And this is Carlos's problem again, right?
Yes.
And again, here we come back to conceptuality. Carlos cannot remember the exact, precise details. There are no exact, precise details. Yeah. And it's that bureaucratic mindset again, wanting to know the exact, precise procedure rather than the conception. The conception is you willed yourself up. End of story. Right? You wanted to do it and you did it. You willed. You have to understand what willing means. Yeah.
If
If you don't
something
understand that,
happened, if something happened, not being deliberate, and it's a fluke. And how can you explain a fluke again and just teach yourself to do that?
well, again, you have to go back to the conception. Don't remember the exact steps. Remember how you felt. Remember what you thought. Remember your intent. See, we come back to our core conceptions. The intent is what mattered. You intended to get up in that moment, not knowing how. That was your intent. You wanted to get up, and that was it. You fully intended getting up, and you did, right? Because the environment allowed for you to get up in other ways than what you normally get up. See? The body was paralyzed then too. Yeah. So this is the key. See how conceptuality helps us, Beena, even though it was a fluke, doesn't matter. You can still repeat it. Intent. We always come back to paying attention to intent. Yes. And will is the personalized application of intent. When you put out an intent, your will is involved, but you're also involving the universe, and it's about the entirety of things, right? Your intent
Mm.
applies to everything, but will is local, it's personal, it's direct. It's to you and you alone in your personal local environment. Yeah. Like Don
Yes.
Gennaro on the waterfall, he was using his will like these big fibers, these big tentacles to pull things, hold on to him, grab on, pull him with it. Very local, very personal, very particular, right? I mean, depending on the strength of your will, how far can you go? Don Gennaro could go, meters, multiple meters, 10, 20, 30 meters, whatever. And that was a major accomplishment, right? So you would think not much further than that. But later he does go further than that. So we don't know what the limits of it are. But nonetheless, to understand the difference between will and intent, it's the same thing. One is just locally applied, one is universally applied. Okay? Make sense, Beena?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, where it was.
I don't know how I got up that time.
Okay. I don't know how I got up that time. I was startled. There was something very monotonous about the rhythm of my voice, but it was plainly my voice. And yet I honestly believed I could not have said that because a minute before I had been incapable of speaking. I looked at Don Juan. He turned his face to one side and laughed. I didn't say that, I said. And again, I was startled by my voice. I felt elated. Speaking under these conditions became an exhilarating process. I wanted to ask Don Juan to explain my talking, but I found I was again incapable of uttering one single word. I struggled fiercely to voice my thoughts, but it was useless. I gave up, and at that moment, almost involuntarily, I said, "Who's talking? Who's talking?" Which made Don laugh so hard that at one point he bobbed on his side.
You can see a smack on the head coming for Carlos, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway,
Apparently, it was impossible for me to say simple things
it was
as long
possible.
as
No, not impossible.
oh, sorry. Apparently, it was possible for me to say simple things as long as I knew exactly what I wanted to say.
Intent again, you see?
Am I talking? Am I talking? I asked. Don told me that if I did not stop horsing around, he was going to go out and lie down under the Ramada and leave me alone with my clowning. It isn't clowning.
But you have to, I think his voice is kind of thicker and heavy, like, it isn't clowning. You know? It's
I
more
don't know.
like that.
This is your and Don Juan's imagination might be.
Yeah. Well, I think he said earlier that it came out a bit monotonous, right?
It is
He said
monotonous.
earlier. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, it isn't clowning. Right? Yeah. It would come out like differently, the voice. Yeah.
I think this time he's using a monotonous as a monotone, like something, yeah?
Right. Monotonous is like a monotone, like it isn't clowning. Like that would be
Yes.
monotonous. Or, right. So
Yes.
it makes the whole thing even funnier when you read it in that voice, right?
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes. Okay. It was
I mean, it doesn't have
it,
the usual emotionality. Like you said, it isn't clowning. I said, that's how we would say it normally, but it's very different to say it isn't clowning,
it isn't clowning.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. I was very serious about that. My thoughts were very clear. My body, however, was numb. I did not feel it. I was not suffocated as I had once been in the past under similar conditions. I was comfortable because I could not feel anything. I had no control whatever over my voluntary system, and yet I could talk. The thought occurred to me that if I could talk, I could probably stand up, as Don Juan had said. Up, I said in English, and in a flicker of an eye, I was up.
Now, just stop right there, right? You see, right? He had conceived this appropriately, right? The thought occurred to me that if I could talk, I could probably stand up, as Don Juan had said, right? He's completely trusting this, and at that point, he's believing it. At that point, he's believing it. Yes.
I personally feel that Carlos was a very unique personality because
Absolutely.
nothing.
Absolutely. And he needs to be, because otherwise the universal gift of these
Yes,
books would not come our way.
yes, but
So,
I'm
exactly.
trying to say something
Sorry.
because, yeah, no, it's okay. But that he is not I think that by default, he is not able to do anything which is coming or act accordingly, anything which is
Yeah.
coming from outside. He always just been able to, by default, just able to do whatever coming from the inside.
Correct.
So like
Correct. Correct.
even if he's a very, very diligent student
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
trying to be, but this is something by default. It's a
Yeah.
manufacturing fault or
Yeah.
a goodness in him
Yeah.
that he cannot do things.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
this is exactly what Don Juan is saying. But when it comes from him, when it's done, like, okay, yes, even it was a thought about him. So, wow,
Why?
wonderful.
Why? But read the monotone because it makes a difference later on.
I'll try, but I don't
Yeah,
know if
yeah,
it make me
yeah.
laugh more.
Up. Yeah, I
Okay.
know, but that's the point. That's why it's funny, right? You'll see in a moment. Anyway, but I want to make this point. You're going to see this in a moment, a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe it's not
Uh,
here. All right. Well,
and in
anyway,
a
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Keep
okay,
going.
and in a flicker of an eye, I was up. Don Juan shook his head in disbelief and walked out of the house. Don Juan, I called out 3 times. Don Juan, Don Juan, yes.
I love it.
He came back. Put me down. I said, put
Put.
yourself down.
Hang on. That's me. That's me. Put yourself down. You seem to be doing very well. He's imitating him. You see? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it
Yes.
comes later that he's imitating him. But all right. Anyway. Yeah.
Okay. I said, down. And suddenly I lost sight of the room. I could not see anything. After a moment, the room and Don Juan came back again into my field of vision. I thought that I must have lain down with my face to the ground, and he had grabbed me by the hair and lifted my head. Thank you, I said in a very slow monotone.
You are welcome.
He replied, mocking my tone of voice, and had another attack of laughter. Then he took some leaves and began rubbing my arms and feet with them. What are you doing?
I, I, can't- I, I am robbing you.
He said, imitating my painful monotone.
Hey, I love that we said Don Juan's humor. I don't know. I find it very funny. Yeah,
Yes.
but to tease Carlos a bit. Anyway, keep going. Please read it.
Okay. His body convulsed with laughter. His eyes were shiny and very friendly. I liked him. I felt that Don Juan was compassionate and fair and funny. I could not laugh with him, but I would have liked to. Another feeling of
Exhilaration.
exhilaration invaded me, and I laughed. It was such an awful sound that Don Juan was
People
taken aback.
probably, if you laugh in that monotone, it's like, something like that. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah, aback for an instant.
Hang on. And I laughed. You get to read this. It was such an awful part. Read all
Okay,
of that.
it was okay. It was such an awful sound that Don Juan was taken aback
Yeah, that's
for an
really bad,
instant.
right? That's really bad. Yeah. I better take you to the ditch, or you're going to kill yourself clowning. Yeah.
He put me up on my feet and made me walk around the room. Little by little, I began to feel my feet and my legs, and finally my entire body. My ears were bursting with a strange pressure. It was like the sensation of a leg or an arm that has fallen asleep. I felt a tremendous weight on the back of my neck and under the scalp on the top of my head.
Wow.
Don Juan rushed me to the irrigation ditch at the back of his house. He dumped me there, fully clothed. The cold water reduced the pressure and the pain by degrees until it was all gone. I changed my clothes in the house and sat down. and I again felt the same kind of aloofness, the same desire to stay quiet. I noticed this time, however, that it was not clarity of mind or a power to focus. Rather, it was a sort of melancholy and a physical fatigue. Finally, I fell asleep.
1 second there. Let's pause here and see how long this next section is. Yeah, all right. It's fairly long, so we'll
Yes,
leave it there for today, and we'll come back here
yes.
on this point. Yeah, where was I now? Did I scroll too far past now? Yeah, November 12th, 1968. We'll come back to that. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But I thought in this point here, he says up and then down. I maybe it's some other time that he did this, but he did it, and then he started to doubt, like, how did I did that? And he started to get into intellectual mode, and this is what messes up Carlos all the time, because that intellectual mode is the same as bureaucratic mode. It's wanting to know details that you can't know, and now he doubts that he can do it because he doesn't know exactly how he did it. Sometimes you just have to trust. Does it matter exactly how you did it? What difference does it make? Yeah. But that's that intellectualness to try and get all those, that bureaucracy to have all that detail, right? And then when he doubted, he couldn't do it. Yeah. And then he was stuck for a while. And I think he figured it out again. Eventually he got it back. But this is very important, right? That we mustn't mess with things when they're working. Yeah. If it's working, leave it alone. What difference does it make how, right? It works. Very important.
There is one more thing I feel that
Yeah.
because up and down they are just one word command, and
Correct. Correct. The
they
simplicity.
have the
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
they have an automatic action or reaction connected to that. So like body also being a very, and it is very simple, very precise, no distraction, no nonsense involved,
Right.
and no details
Exactly.
involved. Up
Exactly.
means just up.
Eh, eh,
So
eh, 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 oh, go ahead. Go
yes.
ahead. Yeah. Clarity
No,
of
I was
intent.
just saying
That's
that.
why.
Exactly, exactly. So
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you have this much of clarity, your body
Exactly.
also react, your physical
Exactly.
world also
Exactly.
react or act accordingly, and preciseness. So this is
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
feel that okay, because up and
Yeah.
down are very simple commands, and also that they are so entrenched, even our body act accordingly by the subconscious command of like up and down.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it,
Yeah.
simple, even when it is dizzy, even
Yeah.
when you don't have physical control.
Yeah. It's very important, that clarity of intent, and this is something to remember in dreaming. Dreaming is not about physicalness; it's about intent. Yeah,
Hmm.
make sense, Beena?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Why is this now being difficult? All right, well, we'll end it there, and then we'll come back
Yes.
tomorrow. Uh,
Yes. So thank
yeah,
you so much, Sil, for sharing. And
brilliant, brilliant.
okay, we had fun, but also that we are learning more about Carlos, and we are learning
Yeah.
more about Don Juan also,
Oh yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
in the typical conventional mindset that the gurus or the masters or just Don Juan needs to be very thorough, very stern, very serious and sober, and always like
Right.
a kind of
Right.
like very
Right.
strict person, but
Yeah.
he's not.
No,
And
because
also
that's hierarchy. They have to be stern and serious to
exactly.
maintain their position and
Oh
importance.
yes.
Come on, man.
Oh yes. Yes.
No.
And also that nothing is 100% just one thing. Like okay, like in this case, Carlos, with all of
Yeah.
his curiosity and of course a bit of superiority and conventional mindset, is still as Sil mentioned that he's quite a daring person, and
Oh
is
yeah.
still going that okay, even if
Oh
he's
yeah.
aware,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
he was aware that it could
Right.
cost his life,
Right.
and
I mean,
still he said
I know people who in a million years would never ever do that, what he's doing there. Yeah. No way.
yes,
No way.
yes.
So
And now maybe some stupid people will go because we are so our mind are so trained with the with the video games and of course like the movies that we assume that okay, this is how it is going to be.
yeah. Yeah.
Facing a real beast is something else than just watching it on IR or on a
Yeah.
movie screen and video screen and all that. So yes, but having this clarity, being like really facing that, and after after that, surviving and coming back to this thing. It shows his persistence also, which is very wonderful. So thank you so much, sir, for sharing. Thank you
Brilliant,
so much,
brilliant,
Carlos and
brilliant,
Don Juan,
brilliant. We have to cut it
to
short today,
share.
Beena. I have to go. I have to go. Sorry,
Okay,
I'll talk to you in a
okay,
little bit. So as soon as you
yes,
finish
no
eating, call me
problem.
back. All right, all right. Bye
Okay,
bye.
okay, everyone. Bye for now.